Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Bufnagle Podcast, where we talk about all things good in the pursuit of the adventure of life. I'm Zach, and, well, we have a fantastic, lovely, joyous-filled show that I can't wait to get doing with all of you guys. And to do the show, I can't do it alone. So, as always, I brought in Rafe. Rafe, how are you doing today?
Zach, if I were anything but fantastic, this would not be a Christmas episode. Hey, thanks everybody for coming to Bufnagle, the podcast. We appreciate having you here. As always, you can get to us at bufnagle.com. We are at Twitter, Instagram, all sorts of things on the interweb. Zach, I opened up a can of peanut butter the other day, and I looked on the bottom of the cover. You know what it said? It said, listen to Bufnagle, the podcast. We are everywhere, Zach, right? If you are new to our podcast, welcome. We are glad you are here. Give us 4 episodes, and we will give you something to take home. Remember, tell a friend to listen, and you get a free episode. And if you subscribe, and if you leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, what happens, Zach?
I get brownies, and you get pudding.
That is exactly what happens. It is a great thing to do. Think of it as just like Christmas charity. Give us the 5-star review. Get me pudding. Get Zach some donuts and brownies. Zach, that would be great.
Yes. So with all of that said, this is our very merry, very Christmas, very happy Christmas special. Last year, we broke down Christmas movies. This year, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're bringing back some of our guests that we've had on who've positively impacted our community as a whole, and we're bringing them back on to talk about Christmas joy, and Christmas spirit. So it is my very, very good pleasure to introduce back on the show again for the Christmas special, Bob, America's favorite rocket scientist. Bob, how are you doing today?
Zach, I'm absolutely grateful and wonderful to be here. So thanks for having me to this Christmas party.
Yes, and also joining Bob today is the most lovely person I know, the queen of crafts herself, Angela Nash. Angela, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm awesome. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for inviting me to your party.
Yes, it's going to be a fantastic party. And it won't be a fantastic party if we don't have a little bit of magic thrown in there. So to do that, we brought back in America's favorite helicopter pilot and Cinder Brock himself, Brock Friedman. Brock, how are you doing today?
Zach, I'm doing great. Merry Christmas to everyone, and I'm happy to be with you guys today.
Fantastic. And lastly, but not least, is Ginny. You've been on the podcast before talking about so many happy and joyous occasions. It's going to be such a great pleasure to talk about that and the Christmas spirits with you today. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Merry Christmas. I feel like everyone else, really honored to be here.
All right, that sounds fantastic. And to kick this all off, Rafe has prepared a little bit of words that is not his own, but are actually from the Peanuts comic when Charlie Brown and Linus talk about Christmas and what that means. So, Rafe?
Like I say, I'm nothing without a great writer. And Luke tells us, and Linus tells us in the Charlie Brown special what Christmas is all about. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were sore afraid. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, for which shall be for all people. For unto you born this day in the city of David is a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of heavenly hosts, praising God and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. Zach, that is what Christmas is all about. That's why we celebrate all these things, and that's why we have Bufnagle the podcast special Christmas special party, and that's what we got. So, Ginny, kick us off. Tell us about Christmas from your point of view.
As you said that, I raised my hand to talk first because I'm a nerd and I always do that. But I was thinking about what's really transformed the holidays for me is letting go of the societal expectations for what these things have to mean to your family and where the level of excitement has to be, and all of the commercial pieces that have nothing to do with what you just said, Rafe. But I do feel there's a certain amount of pressure, particularly when I became a mom, to create this kind of hoo-ha earth-shattering experience. And sometimes, life gets in the way, and sometimes things don't turn out exactly right. And I just think we all need to be free to give ourselves a break, and that it doesn't have to be perfect. We really just have to be with the people we care about.
Well, isn't that what we've said on we had a couple podcasts recently about community and how important it is for you to be there, and that's the reason we do all this stuff. You can have just the right, Christmas gingerbread or three bean casserole or whatever it is that you make, but if what happens in the Grinch, remember, it comes without ribbons or tags or packages, boxes or bags, right? And even without all that, Christmas still comes.
Yeah, I think make the great put Ginny. You make the great point. It's this idea of bringing and spreading joy. We've talked about this for the past however many months we've had this podcast. At the end of the day, it's about this idea of spreading joy, and Christmas gives us this funnel of it. There's the Advent season, there's the Christmas season of having us this opportunity and time to reflect on the joyous moments we've had, to celebrate in community, to celebrate with the people we love and care about the most. And that doesn't necessarily need to be the gift or the pumpkin patch or the pie or whatever it may be. Sometimes it's just that, you can show up at this, Bufnagle Christmas dinner here we're having and just appreciate the people who you have in your life who have made it better.
And that's exactly right. I want to ask everybody, thinking about this as I was preparing for this podcast. I was thinking about, well, yes, I like Christmas. I like Christmas a lot. I'm one of those guys. I like Christmas. But what is it exactly you like about Christmas? And I actually want to throw that question out to our assembled guests here. What is it you like about Christmas? What brings you joy and happiness about the Christmas holiday?
So I had made a list of kind of all the things that I think about when I think about Christmas, and a vast majority of my objects on the list are food related. Really, so moms, like Jenny said, moms, I feel like are the magic makers of Christmas. It kind of lands on us to be the magic makers. And a good portion of that is food related. And many of my things are food related things. But part of the magic of Christmas for me are all the baked things. So all the cookies you have to have. It's like, because my grandma always did that. We would go to my grandma's and there was all the cookies, right? All the cookies were out, all the different baked things, all the delicious European things that she used to make. And so I kind of have always felt like, all right, now I need to be the food maker, the magic maker. And being an engineer, I figured out how to process optimize my cookie making. So
I got to interrupt this just okay because I got it. I saw this yesterday, and guess who? Okay, I'm going to ask which of you I thought of when I saw this. I saw an article about how to properly design a Christmas cookie cutout to tessellate the dough. All right, and you know what that means, Zach?
Okay. It means a word that I don't know what it means.
Tessellation it's when you put a repeating pattern on a plane and it covers the whole plane. So this guy had developed a Christmas tree cookie cutout that you could alternate, and there was no waste. There was no waste because with cookie dough. Okay, but I do like the waste from cookie dough because if you get the waste, you get to roll them out. My mom used to make these things called pie crust cookies. So if there was just extra stuff, you put them in the oven, you cook them, and you put cinnamon and sugar on them. And that to me was as good as any of the stuff. But I did think of tessellating Christmas cookies, and I was like, this is old hat. I'm sure Angela's got this already taken care of.
But see, I saw that too. And I so loved that thing about tessellating the Christmas cookies. But my process optimization had to do, because I didn't want just one kind of cookie. Because you have to have all the kinds of cookies, right? And how do you make all the kinds of cookies without going nuts? So I have this like super awesome app now that I use that gathers all my recipes, and then I can choose all the recipes, and it makes the whole shopping list at once. So I know I need like 10 pounds of butter and like 3 things of flour and all of it. So I gathered all the ingredients, and then I realized that all of it is butter, sugar, and flour, right? Because that's what's yummy. And then like with random extra things every so often. So if you make everything kind of in order without cleaning up in between, right? Because it's all butter, flour, and sugar. That gets rid of like half of your work. So you kind of you do the chocolate things at the end because everything otherwise will taste like chocolate. You do the things that don't have as much chocolate at the beginning. So you process optimize your cookie making. Then you can make a ton of different cookies all at once.
What cookies are you making that aren't chocolate? That sounds like a you problem.
Sugar cookies are not
chocolate.
chocolate.
Like, okay, next.
This is fantastic because this is exactly one of the things I wanted to talk about as well. It's all about the cookies, okay? And I can tell the story of how I got to the point where I was making production. I had production cookie baking weekend. I mean, we don't need to necessarily talk about that, but as far as Christmas traditions go, it's cookie baking for me. That is the big overriding thing. In fact, I just worked my last day. I'm retiring, and I worked my last day on Thursday. And so Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evening, I was baking cookies so I could bring them because every year I would bring cookies to work. Not usually the last day I worked, but I would bring cookies, and it was always the Monday after my production cookie baking weekend, and I would bring them in, and they came to expect them. And of course, last year we didn't get to do that because we weren't even working in the office. But I promised a few people in particular. I said, no, the last day I come in, regardless of when it is, I will bring the cookies. But the whole idea of having to plan out, it's like, okay, I even have notes that say, how a batch of cookies, how many cookies it makes. And then I have to figure out how many, I've got the small plates and the big plates and how many of those I'm making. And almost to the point of having a spreadsheet. I didn't do that. Yes. I don't have an app, but I want to know what that app is. So, but yeah. And then doing the chocolate things last, that's exactly how I do it, because how else would you do it? Anyways. So I could go on and on about cookies, but the other funny thing is I had a dentist appointment, back early when we were starting to do these cookie baking. And I had a dentist appointment like the next day, like the Monday after the weekend we were baking cookies. And I thought, well, I'll bring out, who brings cookies to their dentist? Guess what? Bob does. And they expect it now. And it's how I've kept an appointment in December without it ever slipping into January.
Okay, I was going to ask that because my appointments always slide into January.
That is how I got it to stop. That that made me crazy when that would happen.
Insurance companies do that, right? They say you got to go 6 months between appointments. It just slides. And I was like, that's not.
I was told that, and I said no. And I went and I looked at the policy, from work, and it said 2 times a year. Well, that means I get to go 2 times a year. And if it slips once a week, there's going to be a year when I only get to go once. And I said, no, that's not happening.
I hear you, man. All right.
So I brought cookies every December. And strangely enough, my appointment in December always happened.
Man, all the talk about cookies is making me hungry. Luckily, Beth and I just made a batch last weekend, so we're all set to go. But that is definitely one thing I associate with Christmas, is making those sugar cookies and then busting out all the different colors of frosting and getting everyone together and around the table and frosting all the sugar cookies together. And it's really fun for me for about 15 minutes. And then I've burned through all my color patterns, and I'm suddenly tired of making, Packers colored mittens and painting a green tree and a blue tree and the red snowman. And at that point, I'm just ready to start eating them. But the other thing that I always associate with Christmas as far as sweets goes is back to Angela's point of moms kind of, carrying a lot of the baking throughout the season is my mom would always make these caramels, and she would make big trays of caramels. Then she would cut them and individually wrap them in wax paper, and they were just absolutely divine. And luckily she sent us home. We were home for Thanksgiving. She sent us home with a sack full of those, and I'm still kind of rationing my way through them to make them last.
Well, I didn't get any caramels over Thanksgiving, and I saw you. I'm feeling a little gypped right now.
I saw your mom. She didn't give me caramels.
Oh, sorry, that was Black Friday cooking. So.
Oh. All right.
Guess we chose the wrong day to come up.
All right. So the ladies do a lot of baking. All right, and it's all about the food. Do
not
the guys?
Not just the ladies.
Well, you're right.
Don't go there.
The moms. There's a lot of mom in there. We all like their cookies. We all like to at least eat them. All right, but is there something the dads do? My thought was, when I go back to the days, we got to carry heavy stuff like out of the attic. We got a box of things. We have like I built this. Okay, do you guys hang stockings in front of the man? Okay, do you have hooks in the mantle? You actually put nails in the mantle? Yeah. Okay. So for a long time, I wanted to put nails in the mantle, and my wife was like, "Don't put nails in the mantle. I'll break the mantle." Okay. So I didn't put nails in them. So I've seen these big heavy weights that have the hooks on them, but those are just begging to have like a 3-year-old go to the emergency room on Christmas morning by pulling on that, right? So I put a big flat board on top of the mantle. Right? And I put the hooks in the end of that thing, and you can't generate enough torque on that thing to tip that over there. So I just put that right on top, and that was my contribution to the Christmas tradition, was getting out the stocking hanging mantle board attachment contraption. You can get those on the Bufnagle website in the merch shop.
Yeah,
all right, you can get those there. But that's is it mostly a mom thing? Do the dads do anything other than hang the lights and make the trees? And
I mean, I eat a whole tray of brownies on Christmas.
That's one of your traditions. That's right.
Yep.
I don't bake. I don't.
You don't bake?
No, Christmas is very different when you're a teacher, or in higher ed. It's really intense. So a lot of my stuff when I went back to work went by the wayside. But I did used to make fudge, Brock, and I tried not to focus on how much sugar I was pouring into the fudge. Like when the first time I made fudge, I was like, "Oh my God, no wonder it's so good." And now, I actually have anxiety as I'm pouring the sugar in for when I make it. But usually, it's all about grading and craziness. But I have to say, what did you guys say? Torque? Like never in a discussion of Christmas have I had torque. And what was the Tesla?
Tessellations.
Tesla, the car.
And the process and all of that. This is all so new to me. But Angela, I was thinking about you because you said magic making. And a few years ago, I think there's a frustrated performer in me and I wanted to go viral. I've had that initial love affair with Facebook where I thought I was the most clever thing on earth and for my friends. And I started this whole series of videos called the Santa Mommy. And I was like, because we make the magic. Doing like a radio voice. But all the videos were me doing something absurd, like filling a big vase with little tiny Christmas balls in exactly the right pattern and order. Like some of the stuff that people really get crazy about with Christmas. So it's kind of like tongue in cheek. I'm a little sarcastic.
No.
But the tagline was, we make the magic. And
we do.
Really,
yeah.
And the dads make the magic too, though, because they're dragging all this stuff around. And also, I don't know, you guys all put all that stuff together, the toys. Shoot me.
No,
Yeah, I was just going to say I don't bake quite that much, but I do cook a lot. So every Christmas that I've been married and home with my wife, Beth, we will usually make a big Christmas dinner. That's one of the things that we really enjoy doing together. So we just kind of by happenstance, we do a candlelight dinner, and then we'll either make a Christmas ham or a Christmas roast as kind of our main center thing. So last year we did a roast for the first time, and it was a ton of fun just kind of learning how to cook a piece of meat that big in the oven all day long. It just made the house smell absolutely terrific. And then, of course, we made our cheesy potatoes straight out of a cardboard box, which were delicious. And it's made for a really fun kind of tradition that we've been building up so far.
Was that roast or was that like a prime rib?
It was prime rib.
Oh, see that is like a project.
Yes.
So I did a prime rib for the first time. That was 2 or 3 years ago, and I bought the prime rib, and it's a little bit scary because that's like a huge, very pricey piece of meat, and you don't want to turn it into like hard brown, unchewable leather stuff. Especially, and then like all the people are expecting the food, and so I did a ton of research and I polled all the people I know. I'm like, have you made prime rib? How did it turn out? How did you do it? How did you make prime rib? Until I finally figured out the proper process for making prime rib. So it's a lot of pressure.
I just want to say that, we've talked about moms, and certainly, I remember my mom doing things, but this isn't a mom-dad thing. I reject the split there because I think it's artificial. I have always baked, going back to, when I always wanted to eat pancakes, and my mom finally said, "Here, this is how you make pancakes." And then I made my own pancakes after that. And from that, I went to chocolate chip cookies and all the other baking. And, I do get the reaction every now and then, like actually at work on Thursday, there was a woman who said, "You made all these?" And I was like, "Yes, I made all these cookies." And, I've also, I'm the one who would cook the turkey on Thanksgiving. So I just want to throw that in there, that it's not just this, male female split here. It's all about the Christmas joy, and for me, that's what matters. So
I want to apologize to Bob for me making this binary. It's a non-binary situation, and being in higher ed, I should have known better.
Oh, you don't need to apologize.
All right, Zach?
We're all friends here. Bob,
yes, exactly.
You made the point about bringing and spreading joy. And as much fun as cookies are, as much fun as baking is, as much fun as other things that you may do, putting lights on the Christmas tree, other things like that. I know for myself, over the past couple of years, I've started doing handwritten cards to my close friends and giving that to them as like a Christmas present. It's not, a nice new shiny bike that you want for your brother's birthday or something like that. It's not, the next great Lego train. It's not, your favorite player's hockey jersey. It's not those stuff. It's, a handwritten card from myself to my friends. It's like kind of a thank you for the support they've given me through the year. And what I've realized from doing this for like 3 or 4 years now is like, that is one of the single greatest gifts you can give to somebody. It's also a great gift to receive. So is there a certain gift or a tradition that your family does or you've done yourself that maybe not is your family that, that is you giving that love and that gift of joy to somebody? Or even maybe it's you experiencing that?
Well, I think one thing that one of the really great memories for me from when I was really little had no connections to gifts or any of the things. It was that special family thing that you do. And one of the things that we did is we would do dance to polka music. So on Christmas Eve, and my grandpa would put an actual record on the record play, with the needle and all of that, the vinyl, and get it playing. He'd play a polka, and my grandma and we would polka dance around the family room, and then the next person would have a chance. And so that's like for me, thinking Christmas trees and polka music and dancing around. That's a fun Christmas thing.
One thing that my family and I started doing, probably only within the past 10 years or so, was, let me back up. First, we would always go to Wisconsin for Christmas. When I was growing up, we would always go up to Eau Claire every wintertime to spend time with my great-grandmother who helped raise my mom. And so I vividly remember those 16-hour car rides from Raleigh, North Carolina, up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin as the first stop. And then a few days later, we'd finish it up to Eau Claire. But then absolutely etched in my memory was the year in high school where we went up and we found ourselves stuck behind a jackknife semi-tractor trailer on a bridge, and we didn't move for 4.5 hours as it was just heavily snowing. And we were looking at all these different kinds of rerouting options and diverts, and it actually came up we might have gone over to Nashville to spend the night with Donahue's, which got me really, really excited. Then, of course, we opted not to and just keep going. So about 30 hours into that drive, I was feeling a huge absence of joy. But of course, then we arrived at my grandma's and were able to resume all the wonderful traditions that followed in a Christmas spent in Wisconsin. But then recently, once we stopped doing that, on Christmas Day, we would go over to my cousin's house and we'd kind of just, show each other what we got, just spend time with each other and embrace the time with family. And then once the evening time rolled around, somehow it became a tradition that we would all make individual pizzas. So we'd make the dough, roll out the little dough in the kitchen. We'd run around the counter at my cousin's house while we had Italian music playing in the background, tossing our dough up into the air, inevitably dropping it on the floor. And it's just become something that was very of the moment and brings a lot of joy to my heart just to even think about.
Well, Zach, and in answer to your question about spreading the joy, one of the things for me that I like about Christmas is finding a gift that is like the perfect gift for someone. And I used to do that a lot more than I do now. I don't have quite as many people that I get gifts for, but I would. Well, and going with that was my tradition, which I'm not 100% sure how it started, but I would end up not going Christmas shopping till the 23rd of December. So I'm a little hazy on how that got started, but I know that was a thing for a while. Part of it, I'm sure, had to do with not wanting to be in the mall at all. But and this, of course, was before you could just do all your shopping on the internet, and you actually had to go to stores. I mean, how primitive! But so what that did, though, was that gave me more time to spend thinking about what are the things that would be a great gift, what would make somebody happy, and thinking about each person and thinking about what's a good gift for them. What have they said? And, when you do that, you listen more to what people are saying. And I always get a kick out of, hearing the things people are saying, even when they don't think they're saying, I want this gift. I find the give me your list and I'll give you my list to be tedious. And I really get a kick out of listening to the people I know and I love and hearing what it is they're saying. And then I make a list based on that. And then I would have to have multiple things because I was going out on the 23rd and I wasn't necessarily going to find the exact thing. So I had to have more than one thing. So it kind of became a thing where I thought about people and I thought about what would be good gifts. And then, then it was power shopping, baby. It was how do I get through this ordeal of going to the mall with all these people here on the 23rd and getting the perfect gift and then getting out. Because then I would have to go home and start baking.
Well, at that point, it's almost like a game. You got to get in, get out, like get all the things. It's like
and that's exactly what it was. I obviously turned it into a game, but it was also it was also in a way thinking about each person, and it allowed me to extend the idea of thinking about my friends and my family and what would be good gifts.
I just love what you said about not liking the list, Bob, because it can get very transactional, right? Like this is my stuff. And, so I always worked in retail in college and I loved working Christmas Eve because of the shoppers like you. And my husband actually was always a Christmas Eve shopper, not even the 23rd, Christmas Eve. But I will tell you, I worked at Macy's and they pumped the caffeine. That was the only time that they took all the limits and you didn't have to pay for soda or anything. And you just kept hitting that fountain soda machine and plugging your soda and going down and ringing and ringing and ringing, But I think what you're really saying is it gets you out of your own head and you're thinking about other people and listening to other people. And really all year long, sometimes people get in that groove, right? Like, oh, that would be perfect for so and so. And you get it. So that's really what the gifts are supposed to be about. I don't always nail it. But yeah, I think it's the idea of being in the moment and listening to people and just wanting to blow them away with the fact that you see them. I see you and I heard you and I knew this would matter to you.
Exactly.
I'm getting a little teary eyed listening to this because I'm a sap anyway. But I hear this and I keep thinking of my friend Mark Dice, who always reminds me that Aquinas didn't say that you need to will the good of the other. He tells me that Aquinas said you need to will the good of the other as other, right? And what you really have to do, like what Bob is doing, is putting himself in their place. What would matter to them, right? There are times like I wanted to get the kids stuff that I wanted them to get because I thought it would be cool to get that. And I was like, well, I should just buy that for me, but
And they don't
that
like
is
it. You're mad.
right. It was like, how come you don't like what I like, but that's where it gets really hard. And I do think I wanted to reiterate what Ginny said too, is the idea that here's my list, here's your list. That's very transactional. And the epitome of that is the gift card. And, but the worst kind of gift card though, is the gift card that is limited. All right. So if you're going to give a gift card, here's the thing, just give it a Visa gift card where they can spend it anywhere. Nothing's worse than the gift card to the restaurant that you like that they don't like. All right. So if you're going to go okay, just so you know, if you're out there listening, all right.
If you're out there listening, trying to get ready your Christmas presents on Christmas.
So the gift, if you got to go gift, first of all, don't go gift card. Second of all, if you
Visa gift card.
Yeah. Just a Visa card would be perfect. But no, that's where you got to do it. Because if you really do will the good of the other as other, if you love them, you will find out what matters to them, right? And you'll do exactly what Bob and Ginny are saying, and you will make that. And you know what? That's when you win. That is the real win. Is I have achieved that perfect gift. Is what? Wow, you list, like Ginny said, you saw me, right? And that's what it's about.
And that seeing me component, if my dad gets me a present of something that's reflective of my personality, myself, maybe it's a book, maybe whatever it may be, I feel validated in the fact that okay, the things I am doing, he's respective of, or whatever it may be, and from that, I get joy and I get cheer. So with that said, how do you plan on spreading joy and cheer this year beyond the simple gift giving? And what actions are you guys taking?
I can be fast. I adopt another family and I just get them everything that they need. So that to me is fun.
Wait. So you get so this happens a lot of time at the churches, right? There's the giving tree and you pick things off there, and someone, a 14-year-old needs a coat and a 8-year-old needs a, I don't know, a jumper, right? And then you get those things. Is that how you do it, or is it more than that?
Well, one of my good friends works with a social worker, and she starts early with all of her friends, and we all adopt a family, and then she wraps. Everybody gets together to wrap, and so I get a list of a family and the sizes and the people and what they really need. And to me, I just have found that to be very good for me. Selfishly, it's good for me. But I also feel like it makes a difference for those families.
Well, it's good for you because it's good for them, right? Right. I mean, if it wasn't good for them, you wouldn't feel good about it, which I can't imagine.
Right. I mean, I'm sure I pick a clunker toy or two. I mean, I'm sure I'm a little out of the loop, but I try. I try to get them what they want.
I don't know. I get so wrapped up in all the things, the lists and stuff that needs to be done. But one thing that that we do have coming up that I feel like brings a lot of joy, that is, so Mara, my third grader, has joined the school choir, at our parish. And she is going to be singing at Mass on Christmas Eve. And so we are preparing for Christmas by going back and forth to choir practice, and I help supervise the choir practice and getting all those little girls ready to just sing their hearts out on Christmas Eve. And they are so excited. They're just so excited, and it's so cute I'm watching them progress, because it's a little scary. They're there and they have their sweet little voices in front of the microphone, and now they're getting stronger and stronger, and you can actually hear them now, which is great because they sound beautiful. But I'm really looking forward to that, because that's one of those things where you hear the children singing on Christmas Eve, those beautiful carols, and it really brings you that Christmas peace.
Speaking of that singing, I was at Mass last week for Immaculate Conception, and I went to where the school is, and it was packed with all the little kids in there, and it was folks, but they had been practicing their Marian hymns, and it was phenomenal. I'd never imagined a Wednesday morning, I got to hit at 8:00 and I'll be back at 9. It was like, no, they sang them in multi-part. I mean, these are like up to 6th or 7th grade, something like that. And they were in multi-part harmony. There were oohs and ahs, they were that whatever that's called when you just ooh in the background. It was for me, it drew tears, but everything draws. I mean, I tear up at Hallmark ads, but it was wonderful. And I know what you're saying and so, what you say earlier, moms bring the magic, and they do. And don't ever underestimate what you do just by getting them there. And in the end, when they're older, they'll remember that, and they'll do that because they'll do that for your grandkids.
To answer the question, I plan to do the same things I've always done. For example, as soon as we're done here today, I've got to start baking because I have a dentist appointment on Wednesday. And the ladies at the dentist office are expecting cookies. So I will be baking. And after I go to the dentist, then I've got to go to my eye doctor because they're also expecting the cookies. So, and then after that, I hope that our friends who originally started the cooking, that we started the cookie baking with, I hope we'll be able to get together with them and do something. But that's my plan.
I think mine is very similar tune to Bob's. Is we will probably be making another batch of Christmas cookies and frosting them to distribute to our neighbors here in our neighborhood. We just moved out in April, and with the military move, it took about 30 days for all our stuff to follow us. So we were living in an empty house for a while and had a lot of help and support from them. So just a small way that we can pay them back and hopefully bring a little joy to them. And then selfishly, to bring joy to Beth and I, will do our annual watch of It's a Wonderful Life, which is just a fantastic movie that we love to watch every year. Never fails to make me tear up. Just a good redemption story, makes you think about what's important, what matters, and I don't know. I think the world would be a better place if everyone was a little bit more like George Bailey. But
it's if everyone does a little more like George, that's a very good point, because it is a wonderful life, if you guys are wondering. And It's a Wonderful Life is a Christmas movie. We talked about that last year. But with all of that said, I want to thank all of you for joining us today and talking about the joys of Christmas, the moments that we have a chat going on for this, and people are saying in the chat, how these memories are, sparking inspiration and joy, and just this happiness and community that we've created here on this podcast is special to have. And I want to thank each and every single one of you for we talk about seeking the good, being the good, and spreading the good. And I believe that the four of you and all of our other guests we've had on here and all of our listeners do that on a daily basis. And sometimes we forget to celebrate that in ourselves because we're trying to celebrate it with others. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for, seeking the good, being the good, and spreading the good in your own lives. And, taking time out of your day to sit here, talk about how you do that and how you funnel that in the spirit of Christmas, because to me it means a lot that you guys were able to do this and sit down here with us.
I don't know how he can say those sorts of things without his voice cracking, because I get he has not taken the full Donahue tearing gene to heart. Okay. they say the difference between a Donahue wedding and a Donahue funeral is one less crying Irishman. So it's it is. I don't know how you say it, Zach, because I am so. I wish there was a word, like if you say grateful, but it just says GRATEFUL. Like in this big Gothic script, full caps, like underlined, bold, italics, 3D spinning font. I mean, that is like the amount of grateful that I am. Ginny would love that because we'll put it in PowerPoint, won't we? We're like, grateful, it'd be this thing. But I cannot. There are not words that express how I don't know what else I could want other than everything that I have. I was like, if there's like, we were talking about what to get for Christmas, and it's like, just be, okay. I just want you to be with me. Okay. Look, see, I can't even do it now. So but it's a, I don't need.
This is not the Rafe I went to college.
No, it's not. Is you think you're right?
Matured.
It's not. I've either grown something. There are not words to express how grateful I am to all the people I have. I look at what I did. It's like, I went to graduate school and I got a job doing this. Like, no, I did that, but the number of people along the way who kind of pulled help me over that cliff, help me over that hole, pave the way, chop down the trees. So here I am, standing on the shore. And then like you guys, I'm reconnecting with almost all of you guys through Zach saying, "Hey Dad, we ought to have a podcast." This has been phenomenal. And every day I wake up and I get I get these feelings about despair comes in. All right. Despair always sneaks in. All right. Like, the world's going to hell in a handbasket for whatever reason you might think. All right. But I am so grateful for everything I got. And like Zach said, it's like, it's all because of you, and not because you gave me presents, not because Bob made me cookies or Ginny sent me a planner or Brock flies the helicopters, protects the nation, or Angela has a little quilt at my daughter's house. All right. None of that. That's not why. It's just like, I'm so grateful for you as you that, I got to get a tissue. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
I can't agree with that more than but you say I'm not tearing, but the funny thing that you did not know is that before this I prepped that little soliloquy so I could be able to read it and prepare for it, and there were the tears beforehand, obviously. Additionally, I believe there were more pictures of me crying after rugby games than me playing rugby. So those pictures, the crying down the huge gene, I have that gene. To our guest here today, do you guys have any final words or words of joy and encouragement to pass along our listeners before we get kicked out of the studio here?
Yes, I guess I would like to echo without all the tears, because I don't cry so much, although I do cry a whole lot more than I used to the older I get. But I just want to say thank you to Zach and Rafe for bringing me into this family and giving me the opportunity to be part of the Bufnagle family. It has been such a joy, and I've had so much fun, and I've done things that I never imagined doing, and I am absolutely grateful to be America's favorite rocket scientist, as it turns out. Who would have imagined, right? But thank you so much, guys. And thank you to all of you. This has been an absolutely wonderful experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me to join in with this, because although it is so much fun to reflect back on the things that I really love about Christmas and to think back on those, but it makes it 10 times more fun to talk about that with other people and to hear your stories and to hear how our stories are the same and how they're different. Like, that makes it all a million times better. So thank you so much for letting me join in.
And I've been fortunate in my time with the military. I've been home for every Christmas, but I know there's a lot of people out there who are not. So I just want to throw out a special very Merry Christmas to every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and Coast Guardsman who's currently deployed, away, or unable to be with their family or loved ones today. You guys are not forgotten. God bless you guys. And obviously, thank you to Rafe, Zach, and Harry for the opportunity and the gift of being with you here today. It was a lot of fun and a really, really great way to help celebrate the holiday season.
I'm going to steal what Brock said. This really was a gift for me. And I'm the one who wrote in the chat that I felt inspired because I've been so wrapped up in my work lately and the hectic time of year that I'm like, cut it out. Get the fudge going. What are you doing? Like I've lost sight of what really matters. So, and I too, like Bob, I feel honored to be included in the Bufnagle universe. And if you'd ever told me that Rafe and I would, I was a broadcasting major, Rafe was a math major. Now Rafe is a broadcaster, and not only that, but he's allowed me to see his children and have a little insight into his family. And there's nothing greater than seeing somebody you knew when you were 18 become this amazing dad and force in the universe. So I feel very lucky. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Ginny. Zach, I'm done. I'm done. It's back to you, man.
All right. I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to wish you a very, very, very Merry Christmas. I hope you can spread joy and happiness wherever you go, whether that's through presents, whether that's through receiving presents, whether that's helping someone in need. You never know what someone's going through. So being kind and spreading joy and kindness, it goes a long way. And again, I want to remind you all to go seek the good, be the good, and spread the good. Enjoy the adventure of life.